This past weekend in Springfield, Massachusetts, Carmelo Anthony was officially enshrined into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. A 19-year NBA veteran, 10-time All-Star, but most of all, one of the most gifted scorers that the game has ever seen. Anthony's legacy as a cultural icon and a basketball legend is undeniable. I'm not saying anything about that. He was presented by Allen Iverson and Dwayne Wade, two fellow greats who understand Melo's significance both on and off the court. Melo takes his rightful place amongst the immortals, and you gotta give him that. Yet, as with so many superstars who never reached the mountaintop of the NBA championship, Anthony's legacy remains complicated, especially when it comes to his relationship with the franchises he defined. He spent 7.5 years in Denver and 6.5 years with the Knicks. Yet neither fan base truly embraces him as their franchise legend. I already hear the Knicks fans coming for me. I already understand that. But that reality leads to one of the most contentious questions surrounding Anthony's career. Should the Knicks retire his number 7 jersey? Now, Clyde Frazier isn't hating. He's speaking facts. Y'all gotta hear me out on this one. When asked about the possibility back in 2018, Clyde Frazier, a 2-time NBA champion, Finals MVP, and a man whose name carries immense weight around Madison Square Garden, he was blunt with it. He said probably not, because he didn't win the title. Frazier wasn't being bitter, nor was he dismissing Melo's greatness. Instead, he was pointing to the Knicks' own standards of jersey retirement. New York has only retired 8 jerseys. Clyde Frazier, Dick Barnett, Earl the Pearl, Dick McGuire, Willis Reed, Dave DeBusschere, Bill Bradley, and Patrick Ewing. Yet every single one of those players either delivered championships, in the case of the 1970-1973 title teams, or like Ewing, carried the franchise deep into contention across multiple seasons. Anthony, by comparison, had one great Knicks season, 2012-2013, when he won the scoring title and he led the Knicks to a 54-win season and a second-round playoff appearance. Beyond that, though, the Knicks were either middling or outright dysfunctional during his tenure. Frazier also pointed out names like Bernard King and Allen Houston, both beloved in New York. But in the franchise's history, who still don't have their jerseys hanging in the Garden rafters. Bernard King in particular is already a Hall of Famer and one of the greatest scorers in NBA history. If his jersey isn't retired, what precedent does that set for Melo? So when Clyde says what he said, he wasn't hating. He was protecting the sanctity of the rafters. Melo, the icon, can be looked at as that versus Melo, the winner. There's no question that Carmelo Anthony is a basketball icon. From his one-and-done NCAA championship run at Syracuse and then redefining Olympic basketball with Team USA, to being the ultimate bucket getter in NBA history. His imprint on the game is well documented. He's helped generations of wings who modeled their games after his footwork, his jab step, his mid-range dominance. But jersey retirements aren't only about cultural impact. They're also about the legacy of winning within that franchise. Did Anthony move the Knicks closer to their ultimate goal of an NBA championship? That's going to be the question. Outside of that 2013 season, the answer is no. In fact, the Knicks made the playoffs just 3 times during his tenure, advancing past the first round only once. By contrast, Patrick Ewing never won an NBA title in New York, but he carried the franchise to 2 finals appearances and a decade of relevance in the Michael Jordan era. That's the bar in MSG right now. So for all his brilliance as a scorer, Anthony was never quite able to elevate the Knicks to the heights. That's not entirely his fault. Front office often also failed him. But jersey retirements aren't built around individual numbers alone. They're about those numbers collectively. In Denver, I think they should retire his jersey, but they won't. If any team should retire his jersey, it's the Denver Nuggets. He was the face of their franchise for nearly 8 seasons. He drugged them from irrelevance to playoff regularity. In 2019, he led the Denver Nuggets to the Western Conference Finals, something that no Nugget had done since the ABA days. He left the franchise third in points, first in free throws, second in field goals made. His impact in Denver was foundational, setting the stage for the eventual Nikola Jokic era. But here's the problem. The relationship soured when Anthony forced the trade to New York in 2011. Nuggets fans felt abandoned. Franchise has since hit higher heights without him, culminating in Jokic's delivering the first championship in team history. Retiring Melo's jersey in Denver will reopen old wounds at this point. And with Jokic already redefining a new golden era, there's little appetite to revisit the past for Carmelo. So I say that to say this: Carmelo Anthony, boom, is stamped as a Hall of Famer, a global basketball ambassador, one of the most talented scorers the game has ever seen. But when it comes to retirement and jersey retirement, the standards have got to be different. The standards are different. Walt Frazier wasn't diminishing Anthony's greatness. He was contextualizing it. Melo was special, but he didn't transform the Knicks into perennial contenders. His New York years were thrilling at times, but they were also fleeting at times. If any team should immortalize him in the rafters, it's Denver. But unfortunately, that ship has sailed, which leaves Carmelo in a strange middle ground, celebrated by the game, but not fully claimed by either of the franchises he denied, that he defined. And maybe that's okay. After all, not every legend needs a jersey in the rafters to be remembered. Carmelo Anthony's legacy is already etched in basketball history forever. That's where it belongs. But he's going to be one of those few players that suffer the same fate. What say you, Knicks fans? Keep this in mind. Same thing applies to life, that applies to our team. There's no struggle, there's no progress. But also remember this: whether it's out there in the real world or here in these YouTube streets, here in Knicks Deli, baby, everybody eats. I'm your boy Shia, and I'm out. Peace.